For those of you who'd like some help on how to present a good quality annotated bibliography for this class, here are some thoughts and suggestions for you. Remember that your final presentation will be the natural outgrowth of your research, your self-directed learning. The annotated bibliography in your topic is therefore the first part and heart of your overall project. Regarding the logistics, you need to have a total of 9 sources. What you'll do is submit not the entire bibliography at once, say at the end of the course, but in increments of 3 sources, each due in weeks 3, 4, and 5 respectively. See the weekly schedule posted on the course website for details. Also, to create your bibliography, follow these 2 basic steps. Cite each source using proper MLA format. If you have any questions about that, be sure to review the introductory video for the course, specifically the one entitled CRI Introduction Part 2. Additionally, provide a full annotation underneath each citation. In that annotation, you want to include 2 things. First, a summary of the article, video commentary, speech, or other source in your own words, and be sure to state the thesis the author is asserting. Note: you must summarize the article in your own words. Do not simply state something to the effect of, this article talks about, or this article is about such and such. Restate the general content. You might approach it like this. Summarize the essential points such that, for example, you don't have to read an article again to refresh your memory of its content. Instead, you can simply read your short paragraph summary of it and get the main points and get them accurately. Secondly, state at the bottom of that paragraph in 1 to 2 sentences only what it is that makes your source a credible or trustworthy one. What can you say about the magazine, journal, website, author, or commentator, in other words, that warrants your trust in the information you're getting? With respect to that very topic, here's a tip for you on what makes for a reliable or credible source of information. Recognize right away what the nature of your database is, namely the open world we call the internet. Generally speaking, it's a massive, largely unregulated, unselective growing library of information. Now hold it right there for a moment. Let's not get into the Google beast here and argue about what I've just mentioned. Let's just keep generally speaking in mind. That being the case, you've got to make selections about to what sources you're going to give your time and attention. How do you do that? For starters, locate resources that have to uphold traditions of excellence and are peer-reviewed, that is, that are reviewed and critiqued by professional experts in the topic about which they're giving information. Let me illustrate this. We all know what it's like to play the occasional sport with the overly enthusiastic guy who's played it a few times and thinks he's an expert and can offer you corrective advice. The only thing worse than the family member who is certain he can correct your bowling form during your main event birthday party is the friend or acquaintance who wants to offer corrective measures after every tee on the golf course. Note: it's a cardinal sin to correct another player on the golf course, at least if you've only played it a few times honestly and you've never had professional coaching. And if someone offers you such advice, be grateful, cool-headed, and simply ignore it unless that someone is a paid professional. So again, the best way to trust a source of information on the internet is if you see an about page or a copyright statement or a statement beside the name of an author that indicates a professional credential. That source has to uphold a reputation of excellence because it is typically viewed by others in the same field before and after it's published for the public. Take a look at some of these examples where you'll find this sort of credentialing. Look for web addresses that end in .edu. What does .edu stand for? Education. These typically come from sites sponsored or owned by a university. Universities want credibility behind the information they publish or allow to be published on their sites because they are research institutions who want professionals to teach for them and students to come to them for an education. Also, look for sites ending in .org for, you probably know this, organization. But be careful here. Just be sure you check the About or, again, some similar page to find out who's behind the organization, who was writing for them, have they received any awards or public praise, and from whom. .gov, which in this case indicates a government-sponsored site, a taxpayer-funded source that dispenses information, ideally by professionals in a given field. Now beyond the dots, Consider publishing houses too, which might be a bit advanced here. Certainly, consider news media and digital form periodicals with a wide readership base and established history. Many times they have writers who are credentialed by high university education or who at least have been reporting for a good length of time and have built up a reputation of excellence and trustworthiness. Moreover, in these sources, they're edited by peers, again, writing within their same field. Also, and lastly, you want to be sure to utilize academic resources such as subject-specific databases like Gale, JSTOR, or Project Muse. These are going to help you locate research articles on your topic. You need to have at least some articles from academic sources in your bibliography. Tip number 2. Rather than go into this specifically, the best way to gain pointers on creating a good annotated bibliography for this course is simply to take a look at some examples. Look at this first one. Write down your observations. What do you see in this citation and annotation that could use some improving based on what we've just covered? How about the MLA format? Do you see anything that needs changing? Have a look at the author name. It should read Kaplan, Arthur, and not Arthur Kaplan, right? What do you think of the student's annotation of Kaplan's article? Well, it's not an annotation, is it? This just doesn't cut it at all. Do you see anything else missing? How about the credential statement? There's nothing here at the bottom stating what makes this article and opposing viewpoints credible. There's nothing about that source, nor about Kaplan that suggests why we should listen to him. Take a look at this next example. What needs improving here? How about the MLA? The author's name is correct, but the date, page, and web data are improper. This student needs to consult the hacker text referred to in the introduction to the course video. How about the annotation? It's much better, isn't it? It's thorough, it summarizes the main points of the article well, and check out the credential statement. This article comes directly from Stanford University, where Disaroth teaches. Now that's the kind of thing we're looking for. 2 more. For this one, ask yourself the same questions I've been posing, and take a look at the comments in the margin. The feedback comments like the ones you'll see on your own Google Doc at the right. Pause this video, take note of them, and see if the process is beginning to make sense. Finally, here's a sample of an A+ bibliography. Admittedly, this is a little over the top, but nevertheless, this student pretty much nailed it with his entry. Her MLA citation looks great. The annotation is very thorough, a little too thorough, but that's okay. Take a look at the credential statement down at the bottom. She did some digging to get all the information she could find out about the author relating to his credentials, and she stated them. This is the sort of thing you want to do. Again, your annotation doesn't have to be this long, but overall it should model this type of content and structure. Got it? Don't forget to look over the annotated bibliography grading rubric found on the website. And if you have any additional questions, send me an email or just bring them with you to our next face-to-face meeting.